Analysing and judging your emotions are driven by addiction. So the way to get past analysing and judging your emotions is to start looking at your addictions, to suppressing your emotions. The only reason why the mind wants to analyse an emotion is because you're addicted to not feeling the emotion. You don't want to feel it, right? If you wanted to feel it, you wouldn't need to analyse it anymore, right? Yeah. Secondly, with judgment, the only reason why the mind reverts to judgment of any emotion is because something happened and you want to judge your emotion in order to suppress it. It's a tool that we use, in fact, to suppress the emotion. So anger starts rising, you judge the anger, it's a tool to make it go away.
Yeah.
So the only way to get through judgment and being analytical is to actually look at the reasons why you automatically revert to such behaviour.
Yeah.
And that is an addiction. Remember, every time we're driven to a behaviour that we automatically feel we must take, for example, to analyse something or to judge it, then it's driven by an addiction. We want to analyse it, we want to judge it. So look at why you want to. That's all you have to do. You know, I want to judge and I want to analyse, and that's why I automatically do it. The feeling in my soul is I've got to do that first before I feel anything. And there's a reason for those things. And the fact that I revert to that behaviour means that there's quite a lot of addiction to those two things occurring. So that's all we need to do. It's quite a simple process, but most people think there's far more to it than that. And they want there to be far more to it to that, because the whole reason for judging is so that we can suppress our emotions, and the whole reason for analysing is so that we can suppress our emotions and select them.
And feel in control of them?
Totally. Yeah. We want to select them. We want to go, oh yeah, that's a nice emotion, I'll have that one. Oh, that's not a nice emotion, I don't want to have that one.
Yeah.
That's why we analyse our emotions. Like a person who analyses their emotion wants control. You want control. You want to be controlled. That's why you do it. So it's an addiction to control. Look. What will help you instead is understanding the feeling of the addiction. You need to feel the addiction you have, to revert back to the mind every time. Every time you revert back to the mind, you're avoiding an emotion. Why are you doing that? What do you get out of doing that? There is something you get out. You then know, you feel safer, you feel more in control, you feel more secure. These are the emotions you're avoiding through this addiction. Feel the addiction. Feel whether it's in harmony with God's love or truth or not, and you'll get somewhere. You won't get anywhere if you just go, oh no, I'm going to revert to analysis again. You're not going to get anywhere, because that's the go-to point for the addiction. That's what the addiction is driving you to do. And unless you're willing to feel the addiction and stop the addiction.
Is it true then that we begin to judge ourselves in ways that we felt judged as we were growing up, in an effort to control those things that happened?
Well, if we look at it from if we psychoanalyse the reasons why we would do such a thing, which obviously is not going to help anybody feel the emotion necessarily, but let's psychoanalyse the reason why we might revert to judgment. The only reason why we generally revert to judgment is because we used it as a tool to avoid further attack from other people. So when we got judgment from our parents, we felt quite a lot of pain. So we would rather judge ourselves than receive judgment from others. So it's a selective tool that we've used for substitution of a more painful emotion. That's the only reason why we revert to it. So we're brought up to judge in order to suppress more painful emotions. So it's a tool used to suppress causal emotions. And as a result, every time we're placed in a situation where that causal emotion might begin to raise its ugly head, as we feel, because we're already in judgment about the emotion, right? So we're already viewing it as ugly or too painful to experience. And we're already worried about what our environment is going to say about that emotion. So what we do is we go into judgment about that emotion, so that everyone in our environment feels, oh, now that's great, you know, she feels the same way or he feels the same way as we do, you know. And this is a great way to avoid the attack of other people. It's a great way to avoid violence. And so this is one reason why we've learned it, so that we can avoid attack from other people and avoid violence. we learn to attack ourselves instead.
Yeah.
And when a person, I don't know if you've noticed, many parents, when their child attacks themselves, the parent is far more lenient on their behaviour.
Yeah.
And the parent is also approving generally of the self-attack of the child.
Yeah.
Because it means the parent doesn't have to attack them anymore. And so most parents feel very much drawn into that kind of treatment of children. And this is one reason why self-judgment is such a big problem.
Because we learnt that things go better for us as a child.
They do go better for us when we self-punish. They do go better for us because other people stop punishing us.
Yeah.
You know, we no longer feel violence from other people when we punish ourselves instead, right? So that's why we revert to that behaviour.
But it's not really good for us, is it?
No, it's definitely not good for us, but we're addicted to it.
Yes.
It's an addiction.
Yep.
It's an addiction because it prevents us from feeling the real feeling, which is that somebody else was attacking us and it feels really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it feels really sad and it feels terrible that we're being attacked, and we're quite afraid when we're attacked. And we don't want to feel the fear-based emotions or the grieving-based emotions associated with the attack. Anybody who attacks us doesn't love us. We don't want to feel that. And so we revert to the self-punishment instead. We can avoid whole groups of emotions when we revert to self-punishment. So psychologically, that's why we do it. But me saying that to a person who does it is not really going to help them through it unless they go into their addiction to doing it.
Yeah.
They need to feel the reason why they're so addicted to doing it. Why do they want to do it? And why do they not want to change that addiction? Mm-hmm. You know, because it helps them avoid deeper pain.
Yep.
Self-punishment or self-judgment helps you avoid the deeper pain of other people punishing you or other people judging you.
But as you just said, you've just told us, and we can receive that information intellectually, but it doesn't help us shift that addiction until we're willing to
actually feel the addiction and feel the fear that drives it, right? So the real fear that drives it is I'm terrified to be myself, and I'm terrified to not judge myself anymore because that means more people around me will, and I'm terrified to feel all of those emotions because they feel terrible. Mm-hmm. That's the real reason. But again, we need to feel our way through the addiction first. Our desire to hold on to the judgment rather than letting it go. Mm-hmm. It took me years to let go of self-judgment and to still have problems with it in certain aspects. Because it's very, very hard to let go of self-judgment or self-punishment when you've got thousands or tens of thousands or millions of people attacking you constantly. Because you then start accepting their belief about you. And to prevent their belief from being felt, what you do is you construct your own belief about you, right? And it's much less painful than feeling their belief about you. So we've got to go through that. We've got to let ourselves feel about that, the addiction that we have to punishment and judgment, self-punishment, self-judgment in particular. Of course, some people are addicted to punishment and judgment of others.
Yes. Right,
and it's quite a wicked thing to become addicted to that. But again, it's all avoidance of certain emotions within yourself is the reason why you do it. And again, you'd have to focus on your addictions, not on any other thing or any other fear. You need to focus on your addiction first. Feel the addiction.